Welcome to the Voice of Oneness, your call to awaken. This show is your call to awaken to the truth of your being through the teachings of the Voice of Oneness, spoken by Aumara. On this show, you will receive spiritual guidance and the teachings of oneness from the heart of spirit directly to your heart, along with the tools and techniques to apply these teachings to your day-to-day life. Tuning in each week, you will grow in a deeper, richer understanding of your true nature as teachings are offered about universal spiritual laws that govern our lives. You will learn the right use and application of these laws to achieve the richest life from the perspective of experiencing abundance in all areas of your life. Aumara is a renowned psychic, spiritual teacher, coach, energy healer, mystic, and gifted visionary who taps into the higher realms to join with the vast collective of source energy. Now, your host of Voice of Oneness, Aumara.
Good evening, all. Thank you for joining me here on the Voice of Oneness, Your Call to Awaken podcast on WLTK DB Talk Radio. It's great to have you. We have a great show planned for tonight. This is the Shift of the Ages, the first in a series. This is part 1. And this came to me about 2010, and I'll explain that in a few moments. But before I do that, I want to remind everyone that this is truly a dialogue between spirit and your heart. So the Voice of Oneness is a stream of consciousness that flows to and through me, to you. And your questions really fuel the dialogue. So we get so much more out of it when you submit your questions. So please participate and send your questions via the comment section. Let me know if you're on board, if you're watching, where you're from, what you're feeling, what you're experiencing. The only thing that I do not address on this particular podcast is readings. Not that I don't do readings, I do readings, but I'm just not doing them on the podcast because it takes me away from my focus of what I'm teaching for the evening. So I do readings. You can contact me via my website at voiceofoneness.com if you'd like more information about readings or to schedule a reading with me. Thank you for understanding that this is not the platform that I do that on, because I have had that come up in the past, and I just want to let that be known before we begin. So here we are with the Shift of the Ages. I remember back in 2010, I was sitting in my office of my healing center in Southern California, and I was going to be presenting at an expo in San Diego area. And I was going over different topics in my mind of what I wanted to speak about. And I received a very loud, clairaudient message at that moment. And it was, we would like to address the shift of the ages. And shift of the ages. Wow. What's going on? Shift of the ages. Now, we had been teaching for a while on the things that were going on in our world, the challenges we were facing at that time in 2010 and what was coming as we were moving forward. And we were discussing the breakdown of systems and new ways of being in relationship to that which is true versus that which is false, and that only truth would stand. Now, when I say truth, we have what's called relative truth, and that's truth based on the roles that we're playing in life or based on agreements that we have. We can say, okay, I am a school teacher, for instance. That's a truth. I am a teacher. It's a role I play. But that's not an ultimate truth because it's not who I am in truth, the true nature of my being. It is a role that I'm playing, and in that role, then I have relative truth to that role. So when we talk about truth, we're talking about the true nature of the being, that which we are, that which we are in life, in this physical world, created by that which created us, which we can call many different names. We can say God, we can say infinite intelligence, we can see the creator of all things. It doesn't matter what name we call this creative force. It just matters that we understand that that creative force created us and all of creation. So that's the importance. It's not what term we call it, it's that we understand that it is the force of which created us. So some people, and I know I've had different people in audiences, say, that they get upset by the term God because they're associating it with different experiences that they might have had um, through their own religious affiliations that they've experienced growing up. Well, that's not God. That's a different teaching through a particular organized religion that is man based, not God based. So when we are speaking of the Creator, we're speaking of that which is within us, that which created us, and that which we are a part of. So that's important to understand as we tackle this topic, the shift of the ages. We can call it the shift of the ages. We can call it the Great Awakening. We can call it, some people call it, we won't call it that, but other people call it that, and we'll explain. The moving from a 3D to a 5D state of consciousness, state of being. So when we talk about the 3D experience, that's our very base, very physical survival consciousness. That's the consciousness of which we hold that we are responsible for our survival. It's me and mine, and I've got to protect me and be concerned over my possessions, what I believe I possess in life. I believe myself when I'm in that state of consciousness, more than likely to be a victim to my environment, to my upbringing, to my education, whatever it may be. Something outside of myself dictates the experience I have. And that's a belief that's held within that 3D, that very base survival consciousness. And as we start growing and we go from the 3D and we enter into the fourth, we can say fourth dimensional, we start growing, we start expanding in consciousness, and we start becoming aware that we have the capacity to create our experience, our reality, that we have a role in it. So we start shifting from the victimhood consciousness, I am a victim of circumstances, of events, what have you, to, oh, I'm not a victim. I'm active in this. I have the power to create. I am a co-creator here. So it's not happening to me. It's now happening by me because I have a role in it. And as we move further along in the state of consciousness and we shift even further, we awaken more, we come to the 5D. And now the dimensional experience is that which opens up to the field of love. It's not that no longer am I a victim in consciousness. No longer am I simply aware that it's happening by me, that I'm co-creating, but I realize that it's happening to and through me, with me. So I am part of that experience. I am open to the field of love, realizing that that's what I am. Realizing that I am that. I am love. And therefore, this is the field of which I am now operating within. That's when one arrives in that, what some people term the 5-dimensional experience. So it's going from the 3D, the very dense, the very base, the very filled with that which we are working our way through: anger, violence, jealousy, all that is of a lower frequency vibration, fear, intense fear. And we're moving more to the state of a lighter frequency, much higher vibrating frequency, that of love. So that's the shifting from the 3rd dimension through the 4th into the 5th dimension. When we get into the field of love, we are now flowing within unity consciousness. And that's very different from the 3D experience. The 3D experience is one of separation. It's one more of isolation. I am separate from that which created me. I understand there's a creator, and I may call that creator God, and I may go to services each week, and I may worship the God of creation, and that's beautiful. That's flowing within that consciousness, that understanding. But as we grow and expand, naturally, we have a deeper, richer understanding, and we start to operate with different parameters. We don't hold the same limited view, the same limited perspective. So when we talked about the shifting of the ages, back in 2010, we began by saying, okay, let us look at oneness. We are the voice of oneness. We teach oneness, and all is contained within oneness. So I wanted to start by reading something that was written back then and then expanding upon that. We must realize that as we are shifted the ages is moving from living a story of life that is out of alignment with the divine nature of our being, meaning that when we are living in fear, we are out of alignment with the divine nature of our being, which is love. We are out of alignment, feeling I don't quite fit in. I don't quite feel safe. But we don't understand the reasons why. Why is it a struggle? Why is it seem that, that what happens in my life happens? It's because of the state of consciousness of which I am operating in and from. So as we come into alignment with that which we are in truth, that's known as the awakening to our divine nature. We must remember that we are energy in motion, vibrating to a measurable frequency, both individually and as part of the collective experience of humanity on the planet. Many times, we are not looking in that direction. We are very much, and even when we're beginning to awaken, we are concerned about how things affect me, not realizing that as we grow and expand, me dissolves until we reach the point where we understand that we are not a me, but a we. We are a we. We are all in this together. When I say in this, the earth experience that we've been having for a very, very long time. If we look back even through the point where we started to record, when we have history is the recording of events. We look back historically through our experience on the earth collectively, and it was brutal. There's a lot that went on that was not very loving, not very kind. It was horrific. We look back to, for instance, the Dark Ages or the Inquisition, and many times people, because being a Reiki master, I've taught Reiki for many, many years. And what always came up in class was, people, as we were going through the teaching and the attunements to open up to channel energy to become a healer in that modality, as we all are healers, but we're not all awakened to that. And people would release their feelings of, I'm frightened, I'm afraid, I don't know why, but I'm getting anxious. And then as we look more into that, and we go through, different ways of which we go into the subconscious, whether it's through regression therapy or just in speaking, holding conversation and realizing. And it stems back to experiences we've either had ourselves or collectively. And when someone was burned at the stake for practicing their beliefs that were outside of the organized way of being, organized religion, or outside, considered a heretic, and burned at the stake, then that created such a paralyzing negative fear inside of one that was lodged into the body. And then when we reincarnate again, we bring that with us. So we bring it with us as we bring all things back when we come and we reincarnate. We bring back that which we've taken on, kind of like baggage, that hasn't been healed yet. Anything that is not in the field of love is something of which we'll return to heal, so that we may release all that we are not, and what is left when all that we are not, what is left is all that we are. And that's the truth. That's the love. That's the divine nature of our being. So it's many times we're likened to an onion. And we say, okay, there's layers of an onion. You have to peel the layers to get to the core. And we have to peel the layers of experiences that we've had in the field of separation, in this 3D experience, which is the very physical experience, so that we can move forward and carry a finer vibration, a lighter vibration, and be able to hold that. So if we are holding fear of being burned at the stake, and now we are looking to become a healer, then that's an opportunity to heal that by realizing we are safe in this time right now, and that this is a way to bring about the healing by allowing oneself to experience what is natural to their being and standing within their own truth and experiencing the joy in the moment of connecting in the field of love. That's where we experience joy. We cannot experience joy outside of the field of love. We must enter the field and then we experience the joy. So we tap into that joy when we are in the process of healing. Because when we're in the process of healing, we are connecting heart to heart with the being that we're working with. And with the source energy of that which we are is uppermost within us in our consciousness and our awareness. We are tuning into that flow and allowing it to have movement and bring about an effect, the healing. So when we're doing that, we are connecting. It's like taking a cord and putting it into the outlet. Boom. Once it's in, it's connected to the electricity and it runs through the cord. Once we connect, boom, we're feeling that flow of the divine source energy of that which we are. We've come to the center of our being. We're in balance in that moment. And we're experiencing the flow. We feel it. It's palpable. It has a sense of peacefulness to it. It has a sense to it of which we understand is the connection to source, the connection to love. And we can do that and experience that through any number of ways when we are connecting our consciousness with the consciousness in the field. It may be through connecting the beauty of a baby. Everyone loves a baby. Everyone loves a puppy. We connect to it and it makes us just drop our protective sense and just be in the moment and enjoy it and say, purity. We recognize purity. We recognize the pure love and we tune in and connect to it. So this is what we do. We may do that with plants. We may do that with being out in nature. We may do that climbing a mountain. Those that love to climb mountains, they are at one with the mountain. They're feeling that energy in their body. They're tuned in. They're plugged in. They're connected. They're swimming in the field of love when they're experiencing that climb. So when we tune in and we allow ourselves to feel, then we have the expression of joy. Then we have the expression of happiness, the expression of love. So as we do that, we realize that, by connecting and allowing this is a better feeling experience. And then we begin to move in the direction of experiencing that frequency, allowing ourselves to have those experiences. And then what happens is we start to develop the questioning of there must be more. There must be more to this life. There's more to the experience than I know of. Let me start exploring. And then the magic happens, what many people call it. We meet a teacher. When a student is ready, the teacher appears. A teacher will appear. We'll attend a conference. We'll listen to a presentation. We'll tune into a podcast. A book will fall off a shelf, come into our hands. Somebody will give us something. We'll have an experience that is direct from spirit that will give us these experiences. And those that are tuned in recognize it as, this comes from spirit. This is definitely a gift. Those that are not as tuned in receive their gift, but don't know what to make of it. Don't know, where did that come from? I don't know. I can't explain it, but it just happened. And I'll just take that it happened because it's really good. I don't need to know where it came from. That's the way that which we are growing and expanding. So at this time of this great shift, the shifting of the ages, we are now at a point where the collective karma of the history of which we've accumulated on this planet is now in the mode to be shifted from that which is very base, very survival, very much manipulation and fear, to that which is lighter, freer, and moving in the direction of love, of unity consciousness. Does that mean that everybody in one full swoop is going to be awakened to the state of love? No, unfortunately, it does not. It doesn't happen that way. Now, why does it not happen that way? Wouldn't that be great if it did? It doesn't happen that way because on this planet, and we can call this a social experiment from the very beginning, is what it is. It's a social experiment. We came to this planet, and I'm not going to go into all the details, but I'll just state some of the details. So we came in and we understand that when we're coming into this planet, when I say coming in, I'm incarnating, being born in a physical body, in a physical world. For the experience of I am spirit encased in a physical body with no memory of being spirit. So now, as I go through this social experiment, this game of life, I start with a lifetime, I start with an experience, and then I grow from there. So when we start an experience, and I'll just take it from a human experience because we started in mineral kingdom, but I'm not going to go back that far. I'll just take it from the human experience. We begin to grow. We begin to grow because we're starting with the belief in that we are separate. We're separate from that which created us. So therefore, we hold within our belief that we have to return to that which created us and that we have to live our life in certain ways in order to do that, in order to return. And this is a belief that we have that is in our social structures. And if we look at it and say, okay, well, what is one of the ways of which we know we're doing good? We're taught in school from a very young age to be a good boy or a good girl, a good citizen. And then we're taught that we are then to go on to be a productive member of our community. And if we're doing those things correctly, then we're leading a good life. Then we share and we're social, we have practices that we do together, and we have an expectation of what comes out of that. And what comes out of that are rewards. We do well, maybe socially or financially. We do well in our job. We receive accolades. So we're achieving. We're achieving. And then when we've reached a point through development, and it may not happen, it doesn't happen in one lifetime, it's over many, many, many. We get to the point and we say, okay, I've achieved in different areas of my life what I consider to be success, but yet I feel empty. I can be in a very wonderful relationship with someone and really enjoy sharing and enjoy the relationship, but then still feel a hole inside of myself. Something that is calling to me to fill a void. And that void is that connection to love, not the romantic love, but connect to love. Connecting to love means connecting to God, the creator, the source, infinite intelligence. To know that it is present, that I have not been sacrificed. I have not been left behind. I have not been abandoned, which these are written into the script of which we live through on the earth till we arrive at the understanding that those were beliefs held within the systems, within our ego, within our family structures, within our cultural structures. We come to an understanding that we are so much more than what we believe ourselves to be. That we're not our physical appearance. We're not our body. We could become obsessed with our body, and many people do, and that's what they live for their body. They live to build it into a certain condition, and they're all consumed with everything with the body, and that's the way we can live, and that's fine. Everybody lives what they need to for where they are within their consciousness. And then you get to a place and you say, okay, I've got this now, but I still am not satisfied. There's something more. And then we look and then we go to the next thing and then the next and the next. And eventually we wind up at a place where we begin to put our feet upon what we call a spiritual path. The spiritual path does not mean that we're listening to someone's teachings and that that's guiding us like we are doing here today. In order to be here today and be listening to this, tuning into this podcast or any other teacher at this time, one has to be of the vibration within their consciousness to resonate with the offering. When I say at the beginning of each show, thank you for joining me here and listening to your call to awaken, that's what I'm addressing. You listened to your call. You happened to be at the right place at the right time to tune in. You had your computer on or your cell phone or you're on Facebook Live or wherever you are. It is not by chance. It is by design. Know that. It is by design. And it's not being done to you. It's being done by you and through you. So the creative force, the infinite intelligence, is answering the calling that you put out to the universe when you said either aloud or within your own mind, there must be more. It says, okay, now you're ready for more. Now this you shall receive. And then it begins. You place your feet on the path for the inward journey. And the inward journey is where you begin to learn about who you are in truth. Not who you believe yourself to be. You learn that you are not the color of your skin. You are not the gender you identify with. You are not the job or role that you play in life. You are not someone's something. You are divine presence, having an experience in a physical form. Why a physical form? A physical form allows you to experience through your senses, your pleasure traps, allows you to experience food and not become obsessed with it. Bring it into balance, nourish the body, learn about it. Allows you to experience sex and not become obsessed about it. Not have it in any type of discordant way, but that which is aligned with the true nature of your being, which is love, the expression of love. Allows one to see, to look around and see and witness the mirrors that are all around us. When I say mirrors that are all around us that we see is based on what we're holding inside of us. It's a reflection. And when we are in that 3D consciousness, we believe that all around us is what is controlling us, not that we are the one that's creating it. And as we begin to shift and awaken, we begin to learn that what we hold inside us is mirrored around us, creating the opportunity for awakening, creating the opportunity to say, what's going on in my consciousness? Am I satisfied with this? Or is this calling me to a new awareness? It's designed specifically for the forward motion. So, howdy, Facebook user. Yes, that's the basis of a lot of negative hauntings I am finding. Yeah. And when we say on these negative hauntings, it's just a belief. Negative, positive, in the field at all times. It's a matter of the description we assign to it. It is a matter of how we describe it. when we realize that we are consciousness. Everything in creation is consciousness. Every part and parcel holds consciousness. That which created us is in everything, omnipresent, omnipotent, omniscient, all powerful, all knowing, ever present. And we read that, we may talk about that, but how many of us actually live it? How many of us actually ask, well, what does that mean in my life? What does it truly mean? We can ask, what is oneness? And oneness, somebody will say, well, I'm really not sure if they're not sure. Or they'll go, it means that everything is connected. Okay, that's one meaning. Everything is connected. We're interconnected. We're all from the same source. If we're all from the same source, we are connected in consciousness in the field. And what one of us does, all of us do. What one of us does, all of us experience. We are not separate. I cannot be filled with hatred and live alone, isolated from the field. My hatred impacts the field. And we call this in a negative way because it doesn't feel good, and that's how we describe it. Now, my negativity, as I'm describing it that way for the purpose of illustration here, affects the field. And it affects the field until the point where I reach that I just give up and say, okay, no, I can't take it anymore. Please help me. And then now that gives an opening for a higher vibration to come in and assist. Does that mean that one is instantly awakened at that moment? No. It means they begin to receive the frequencies which elevate them. So it's like saying, in my finite mind, what I hold within my finite mind, I want to know everything there is to know about all of creation, all of the multiverses, everything. I want everything. And that's a want, and it's a very childish want, because we couldn't possibly hold it. We don't have the container for that. And it would be very uncomfortable. We'd wind up in an institution because we go absolutely mad. So I hope that makes sense to some of you, or all of you, when we're asking that question. I am more than my physical body, says the Facebook user. I can communicate with that is greater or equal to. Yes, greater or equal to. Absolutely. Absolutely. We don't want to communicate with that which is of a lower frequency. We are in a frequency band, everyone. And in that frequency band is our comfort. We call our comfort zone. We know our comfort zone. It feels good. Now, if I'm going up to the next band, I reach the top of my frequency band that I'm in. There's a middle, there's a bottom, and a top. When I reach the top and I start going to the bottom level of the next frequency band, that feels comfortable. But I cannot go from the bottom level of that frequency band to the top. It will not feel comfortable. Those that are in that frequency will never come on my radar. We'll never have a conversation. They're not going to be part of my social circle because we're not in vibratory resonance. Remember, we live in a world that everything is vibration. Like vibration attracts like vibration. Does that mean that I never get to the top of a frequency band? No, it means I need to do the work to get there. I need to work on releasing what it is that I'm holding that is of a lower frequency so that I begin to rise up. And that's what we're doing now in this shift of the ages. We are rising up. We are awakening. We are coming on board to the true nature of our being. We are coming into the understanding. And what comes to my mind is many years ago, The Secret. The book The Secret came out, all about the secret, the law of attraction. And it was done in a very Hollywood style, really making it to be this great secret. And you could learn this secret and have the riches of your desire, Aladdin and the magic lamp type of a escape. And yeah, it is there's truth in that yes, you can have what you desire, and that like attracts like, and where you put your focus, your energy goes. Those are true. But then say, okay, that's the beginning. That's the beginning. And I learn how to manifest things in my life. And then I learn about the deeper. I go deeper in learning and I expand my consciousness for wherever expanding. But that book, that movie, really created a major shift in consciousness. It opened up to the masses the possibilities of more than they ever were aware of before. I don't have to stay in a job of which I hate because I have a mortgage to pay. So I am prisoner to this job that I got myself into. And I can't leave it because I bought this house that has this mortgage. And how am I possibly going to pay it? That is a belief in a story that says, I cannot make it any other way. I'm stuck. And that is not a truth at all that resonates with the nature of our being. And as we grow and we learn that there is but one source. One source. We go back to that word one source. One source that created everything, everyone, every part and parcel of creation. One source, one substance. And from that one source, everything comes forth. So that one source produces everything. We do not produce everything. The source does. So I am more than my physical body, therefore I can communicate with that which is greater or equal to me. Robert Monroe. Yes, yes. I needed to hear that. That's why I go back, when we go back to the shift of the ages, we're becoming aware of the oneness. And we're getting into a deeper meaning than the interconnectedness of all life. That's a basic understanding. And as we go deeper into it, we don't do it from our mind. The mind, we come to the information, and then it's got to marinate. It's got to be assimilated within. And we go to our heart, and we must feel. We must open to allow, to accept, to say, oh my, I can let go of this belief that I've been holding because I've come to recognize it's holding me back. It's stopping me from moving forward. Oh my goodness. And I thought I was a victim of this. No, I'm not a victim. I just need to learn how to let go. So let's say, okay, that's kind of a buzz phrase and it's been around for years. Just let go and let God. And then people will say, well, how the heck do you do that? How do I let go? Especially when something is tormenting you and going around and around and around in your mind. How do you do that? You contact someone like me, like somebody who is a spiritual counselor, a teacher. You put it out to the universe. I want to let this, but I don't know how. So please assist me. And all of a sudden, you'll tune into a podcast. A book will fall off the shelf. However it comes, it'll come. But you say, I don't know how it's going to come, but I do know it's coming. I know that it's arriving now because I'm declaring it. I'm declaring that now I want to let go and I need assistance in doing so. Therefore, the assistance is giving. Ask and you shall receive as long as you believe. You must believe that it's already there for you. That's key. You must hold the belief that what I'm asking for already exists. What I need is help in reaching that frequency, that vibration, so that we are a match and I can plug in. That's what brings about the manifestation. Nothing is ever held from anyone. Nothing. Our belief is others have things that we don't, and I can't get it. And I'll tell you the whole litany of reasons why I can't get it. Because I'm stuck in this job and I make this much money and this person makes this much money. So they have more. They have that boat. I can never have that boat. And this is what I've heard from people. And this is not true. This is not true. It may be the reality that you're holding in the moment, but you can let go of that and you can open up to the field and you can say, let's dance. Let's create a new experience. And I am recently working with somebody that I've been working with for a few years now. And I've said it, that it's totally transformed their life. They're totally into experience. And this is mind blowing for this individual to say, look where I am now. And she sent me an email today and she said, you truly took a soul that was lost and gave them a whole new life. Thank you. And I say, that's her understanding. I did it. I said, but she did it. I assisted by allowing spirit to work through me to reach her because that's the way it needed to be. We need to allow spirit to assist. And with that, we are more than half past the hour. So I'm going to take a station break for a few minutes. I hope you'll stay tuned as we go deeper into the shift of the ages. Thank you. So as we continue, I want to go back to where I left off, where I was going to read what was written years ago. So it leads me into where I'm going next. So this is, are you feeling that time is speeding up, that you must hurry and fulfill your purpose or time will pass you by? This is because the Earth is experiencing many changes as it speeds up its frequency and continues to shift and vibrate at a faster rate than ever before. Now, the Earth is a living being, a consciousness. It's not a rock. It's alive, and rocks are alive too, by the way. They are consciousness. She's a living consciousness, and it's time for her now to increase her frequency and expand. And she is part of the one. We are part of the one. As she is shifting in her frequency and her awareness, her consciousness, that impacts the whole. We are impacted by that. And we happen to be on her earth here. This is Mother Earth. She is supporting us. And she is uplifting us. And those of us that are ready to rise in consciousness will do so, will rise. And those that are not yet ready simply will not rise at this time in consciousness. And that is the way of it. It's not neither bad nor good. It simply is. Because part of the rules of this game of life here on the planet is we must individually, as individual aspects of consciousness, we must exercise our given right of free will. We are in a free will construct here. We must exercise our right of free will. We must choose. We must choose the experience, what we want to experience. And I'll get back to that in a moment. So she's raising her frequency. This has brought about the conditions that are right for the seeking and learning all about oneself. Where did you come from? What keeps you here? Where exactly is here? What is your purpose? Why do you want to become more? And much, much more. All of these questions and more pertaining to your true nature may be answered through the teachings of oneness. To assist you in arriving at the answers to these and many other questions you may hold, let us begin by providing a basic definition of oneness that will serve as an introduction of which we will build upon. Much has been written and taught by spiritual teachers today on the topic of the law of attraction. This is an excellent law to understand and how to use properly. We will say that before one studies this law, they are to look first to oneness. Oneness is supreme. It is the foundation upon which all is built. It is truth. Remember, what is truth? Truth is what remains when all else falls away. That's what truth is. Oneness remains when all else falls away. It is the guiding principle in all things. Oneness is the interconnectedness of all things. It is the law that governs all existence. It is the law that by its existence defines the essence of all things. Defines the essence of all things. We are part of all things. The law of oneness defines our essence. Have we approached it from that perspective? We got to ask ourselves. The creator and the created by the law of oneness are one. It can be no other way. Each is one to the other. All are one. No separation can exist. It gives rise to all other universal laws, for without the law of oneness, no other law would exist. It is with an understanding of the principles of the law of oneness that all are free to be. When we understand, truly, truly understand oneness, we are free. It is where each may claim their birthright. It is where each lives in oneness. The law of oneness is the one and only law of the universe. All other laws exist because of the law of oneness. To understand oneness is to truly understand the self. So when we truly understand the oneness, that we are all created from the same source. All from the same source. We are not separate. We are in bodies that make it appear as though we are separate. Let me ask you this. Have you ever walked into a room after two people had an argument and felt the energy? Even though you weren't there for the argument, and you could see possibly by their physical gestures that they're angry, but you feel the energy before you see the physical gestures. You feel it. It's in the field. There's no denying it. And when we are growing in our awareness and expanding our consciousness, we get to a point where There is no denying in the field. We feel and we know what's going on. We know, and we call these empaths as a term that people have coined for this, empathic. We know what's going on. We know when somebody is saying one thing and believing another. We know when somebody is dishonest. We don't need to be told. We're reading the energy. We're doing it automatically. We could not do it because that's where the consciousness is. It's aware of the energy of which is around it, of which we are one. We are one. So when we begin to live from that perspective, life changes. We realize that no one is doing anything to us. We're never a victim, never have been. And some people will say what's going on in this world now, this awakening, this big shift, and it's the war growing on with the elite and the manipulation of the planet. Yes, we could say that's going on, but we can also say that that holds reference. It allows us to make a choice of what we do not wish to experience. That is what puts us in the direction of that which is true. Because manipulation takes away freedom. Oneness, we understand it, we're free. Every one of us innately will always move in the direction of freedom. We can be held down for a little while by our own choice, even though we may not be recognizing that it's our own choice, but we will always rise up. Always. We will always move in the direction of freedom. Freedom is the true nature of our being. We are love. We are free. We are spirit. And we are in this physical form, this 3D reality, moving to the 5D reality, that which is more spiritually based in the field of love, a lighter frequency body, much different than this current reality, where we are aware of our oneness, where we are based in truth, as that's the shift in now, where that which is not truth, that which is, and we say that which is not truth, understanding that truth is what is when all else falls away, and understanding that what we have going on in our world, when we feel into the energy, it is manipulation, and we feel the intention that is behind the actions, the intent to defraud. And where there's an intent to defraud, that cannot sustain itself. It will not be long-lived. It will collapse. And that's what we're experiencing in our world at this time, as structures collapse. As it is being revealed to us, that which is untrue. Now, although it's being revealed, it may not be seen. We may not see it the same way. We'll see it based on where we are within our consciousness. Some of us are just not at the place within our consciousness to allow the truth to be seen. We are very vested in the old paradigm, the old way of being, the old ways, the victimhood, that somebody must save me. Somebody must be the one that I look up to, because I'm not taking full responsibility for myself. And that's an old way of being. The shift of the ages brings about the understanding that everything begins and ends with me. And that's not in an egocentric perspective. It's into understanding it begins and ends with me as I am one with all things. And I must take responsibility for the oneness of which I am. And I'm here in this physical form to live it. So we're physical. And I said about the five senses, and this is the pleasure trap. We're here to write that and to do what is called the mastery of the physical. Master the physical experience, which means no longer am I bound by the belief that I am my body. I have come into the knowingness through the living of experiences that my body is a temple housing the spirit. And my body is a vehicle, and a beautiful vehicle of the expression of consciousness, of which is held within it, to experience life to its fullest capacity. That's the beauty. That's the potential. That's what we're here to grow into. And as we master the physical, and we're no longer held by meeting the pleasures of the body, we understand the body's a temple, and we honor it and take care of it, but it does not dictate our life experience any longer. Then we are ready to move to the 5D experience. We are ready then to open up. We arrive at a place where we understand that we are love, that we are spirit. We are connecting fully to the divine within us, the God presence. We can say God, not be afraid of the word. It's just a word that holds a frequency to it based on the connotations assigned to it over time. Or we can also say infinite intelligence, life force, love, all meaning the same force. I am one with that which creates all of creation. So I am part of that creation. I am a creator being. And I've been creating all along. We just call them miscreations because they were creating at the level of the consciousness in awareness at the time. That doesn't make it good nor bad. It simply makes it what is. It's still a creation. It's an experience. It's a cause and an effect. The effect is what we manifest. The cause is the source, the substance of which manifests. Everything comes forth from the source. Everything. We are to learn that. We are to learn to return to the source. That's the way forward. That's the big shift. Releasing separation. Realizing that it's been a manipulation from the beginning. Understanding that it needed to be so that we could live through the experiences that we've had in our history to bring us to this place of great awakening, to where hearts are opening, where people are standing up and saying, no, no more. No more am I going to be told what to believe, when to believe, and how to believe. But I'm going to make the decision as to what it is that is correct for me, based on not my logic, but on my feeling, my interpreting of the energy correctly of which I am experiencing. This is the shift. This is the great awakening. This is the beginning. So we can say many times, you've heard perhaps, that There's so much going on in our world. There's so much warring going on. There's so much violence. There's so much injustice. And all that is held within us collectively, so that we individually stand up and say no more. No more will I support war. I choose peace. I choose love. And I choose to stand by the choice. I choose to experience it. Not just saying the words, but I choose love means within my own self, am I loving myself? How am I treating me? How am I treating my significant other if I have one? How am I treating my friends? How am I treating my family? How am I treating my pets? How am I treating my employer? How am I allowing myself to be treated? These are questions that need to be addressed at this time for each and every one of us. And each and every one of us sets our feet upon the path and walks it. And as we walk it, it's a lone journey because it's the journey of our consciousness. And we'd like to take other people with us and say, come on, join me on the path. They can join you in a spiritual quest. They can join you in a study group. But know that the journey is an individual one because it's the individual consciousness that must choose. I hope that makes sense and that this has been beneficial to all this evening. It's been my great pleasure to speak about this tonight. And we will continue with the shift of the ages next Thursday evening at the same time. And I did release on my YouTube station, if anybody's interested, a recording of the presentation I made back in 2010 at the DoubleTree Hotel in San Diego. It's at Voice of Oneness, Your Call to Awaken on YouTube. And it is unedited, and it is a recording from 2010. So it is not up to today's standards, but the information, the message is relevant today, just as powerfully as it was in 2010. It is truth. So we would like you to remember that you have within you all you ever need to experience success. What is required of you is the opening to the realization, coupled with the ability to allow yourself to be guided in new ways as you freely release what has been and embrace what is now unfolding. So be it. And with that, I thank each and every one of you for journeying with me in this energy, here and now. Bless you all. Good night.
The truth is here and now on WLTK-DB Talk Radio at WLTKDB.com. Oneness.